Hey folks, welcome to the One Accord YouTube page. And so this is a part 2 to my worship keyboard rig, and I thought I would show, for those that are interested in what to do for a worship keyboard rig, what my rig is and then how I've got everything connected. So we're going to explore that today. Again, for those of you that are watching, don't forget to like and subscribe. And we really hope that all this information will help you kind of make an informed decision. So thanks for checking out the channel. Okay, so we're going to, this is the rig that I use. And I'm going to shoot it from a couple different angles here. So I'm going to move to the front. This is a Studiologic SL88 Grand, okay? And so then what I'm using in conjunction with that is this Korg Nano Control 2 as my controller, which basically, when I showed in the first video, allows me to change sounds as far as volume levels and bring something in or take something out, add something on. So, so then that works in conjunction with the iPad here, and then you have your whatever sounds that you're going to play. And then the Studiologic is just acting as a MIDI controller. Okay, so now let's talk about real quick about the connection point and how this all hooks up together, because there's a lot of cables here, but it's really not too terribly difficult. So what I'm doing is I'm coming out of the iPad, then this is a USB-C connector, and then that is moving, and I'm trying to get good camera angles here, folks, so bear with me. So then that's going into a hub, okay? So then that feeds out of here, right into the hub, and then I've got 3 different cables. One that's going to the keyboard here. The other one that's feeding out of this USB hub is going to the Nano controller, which is this cable here. That feeds into the Nano controller, which gives me real-time control with all the sounds. And then the other one, there's the third one, follows this little guy right down here and goes into the Radial, sorry for the glare there, for the Radial USB. So what I'm doing is I'm literally plugging right into the USB port on here, and then I'm going XLR out on that right into the house. And then the other thing I have is a power supply, and then that's running into the hub so that it does multiple things. Bear with me here again. So it's providing power for the iPad, but it keeps the iPad charged. Now, theoretically, if I were to unplug this cable, the iPad could run this for a short period of time, but eventually it would drain the iPad. So this alleviates that. So it also powers the keyboard, keeps the iPad charged, and then also runs the Nano controller. So that's the setup in and of itself. So anyway, we'll take a moment here and we'll talk about sounds here. So in our church, we have a full band. So we have an acoustic station, we have our bass station, and then we also have the drum cage. And then sometimes when I also play guitar, so I actually have a setup here where I plug in my Helix. We'll actually do a video on my electric guitar rig and what I run on that. So, and then the other thing we do is we do run through Loop Community. We run click tracks for everything. So, so the nice thing about the Sunny Keys app, it works really nicely with everything that's going on within our genetic makeup of the church and what we do musically. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play some stuff on here. I've got it in the house system, so we'll see how that all works. But just wanted you to hear some of the sounds with the pads. They sound huge. This running everything's stereo and left and right makes the thing sound huge. Now that's just the pianos. I'm not even throwing any kind of a pad. So there's a pad. Now I'm adding a second pad here. So it sounds huge. The audio quality of these patches are insane, and they sound so good in the house system. All right, some talking points. So the nice thing about this system is, again, you can program your set list for the songs that you're going to do, and you can set up your sounds however you want to set them up for whatever songs you're doing. So, you know, for more of a worshipful song, we do Forever Rain, and the intro on that thing with the pad has that little. And depending on what pads I use, I can make that sound huge, and it will literally rattle the floor with the pianos that I'm using. So it's really nice. The other component of that is, so I have, sometimes I like to do hymns, and I'll have kind of more of a gospel-y kind of a sound to that. I'm gonna try and move the camera down just a little bit, trying to get a good angle here. So, you know, like we do a hymn or something like that. So the Hammond samples, this is a third-party software, but it plays nicely and works well and actually sits nice in the mix with the pianos I have. Now, right now I'm using like the SK Grand, and then I'm using the MKS 20 piano just to give it some of that little. So here's the regular piano. Oh wait, I take that back. It's this one. So here's the SK piano. It sounds great. It sounds amazing. And then I throw the MKS 20 in there just to give it a little more attack. So and it has a little more low end punch for any of the punchier type of things you want to do. Even in the upper register, it sounds great. And you're just coming off, you're just hearing this off of the mains, and we've got some front fills and whatever, but it just really, it cuts through, it sounds great. So then, okay, so now blending other software within that. So this is a little Hammond B3 with a 122 Leslie, but if I'm playing a hymn, now you've probably been seeing I'm hitting this little button over here. So on the Studiologic, there is, which they're affectionately calling this stick number 2, and I'm literally flicking this up like I would turn on a Leslie on a Leslie cabinet, and so that's what I've assigned for my Leslie switch. So. which is pretty cool. So, and I can even do it to where it'll do a dead stop on the Leslie. So I can have more of a chorale sound here. And then I can dead stop it right here. So if I want more of that, or I can then go back to chorale, and then full rotation. So great options on this. And now I'm going to move this camera over so you can see what I'm doing here, because I'm an old school Hammond player. So here's the switch. I don't know if you guys can see this. So what I'm doing is, as I'm playing, and then I got full vibrato. So anyway, pretty cool function there. All right. Anyway, I am my own cameraman, so bear with me. Eventually we'll get this more dialed in and have more cleaner shots here. But anyway, so great rig, great sounds. The neat thing I also like about the Sunday Keys is you get, I think when it starts out, you get about 500 sounds, and then they're always adding, and so you can update your database, and they're always getting new stuff. So I'll kind of pause for a moment here. I'm going to move the camera up a little bit. So one of the things when I was thinking about a keyboard rig, I was looking at the Nord stuff and everything else that they have out there, and some of that stuff costs more than my first car. Now, I mean, granted, I'm 56 years old, but I just couldn't see spending that kind of money. And the benefit, I think, of running Sunday Keys is that they're constantly updating sounds. So what I have in this rig total, when I bought the SL88 Grand, it was $500. Now the price has gone up because I think they're more in demand. So I think now they're going for about $1,000. Nano controller is about $74. The Radial USB DI is about $230, and then just whatever iPad that you get, you have to at least get a 10th generation. I got a little bit of a newer one, and then you just pay for your licensing fee from Sunday Keys, which is roughly $100 a year. And I'm still cheaper than a Nord, and I have complete flexibility to be able to set up things. I can set zones. Everything's right there, which, you know, I can see everything on that iPad screen right there. Everything I need is all right there, and I can see it. If I wanted to add a sound to it, it's as quick as just going to add sound and then going through the menu, and there's different menus that you can kind of set up. I try to do all my preliminary stuff beforehand, and there's just some meat potato things that I always gravitate towards when I'm playing. Having a good Hammond organ is I think is good for church type stuff, depending on stylistically what you're playing. But then the other component is just the pianos and the pads and the electric pianos is pretty awesome. So anyway, so that's kind of the rig I have. Again, I love the weighted keys on the Studiologic, the SL88 Grand. It feels like a piano. The action on it is surprisingly really good. given some of the other controllers that they have as far as the key beds on it. But it feels like a piano, and it responds like a piano. So, and if you lay into it, if you play light, it's going to play light. If I dig into it, it responds wonderfully. So the other component of that, if you have somebody that's never played synth or keyboards or whatever else, having something that actually feels like a piano, I think helps when you're training volunteers or people that want to play keys and do that stuff. Well, then seeing those wooded keys when you press them down kind of, I think, calms them a little bit and goes, oh, this feels just like a piano. So anyway, so hopefully this helps and you can kind of see the beauty of this. So I think altogether, when you spend everything for the keyboard, the iPad, and everything else, you're still under, I think you're right at about $1,700–1,800, which is a lot cheaper than an Ord. So, and again, I have a similar rig that I go out and gig and play with in the Kansas City area, and it's just kind of a fun thing to do and play different styles of music. And I can literally do everything with a similar rig using the iPad and using Sunday keys, and I can gig out and play with it. And what I used to have to haul around, which was like a refrigerator, the size of a mini refrigerator, as far as all my rack modules and all my synth modules, and then one controller. Now I can do just toting an iPad, and it just blows my mind. So I'm old school, but I just think this is a great way to have some really amazing sounds. And I will say, like the pad function, which having that in the house, I'm gonna have it turn on here, you'll hear it. And then having that as a segue, if I wanted to say a scripture verse or something like that, and then maybe just play a little light piano underneath. There's so many different pad layers that you can choose from, and then once you kick off that pad, you know, and obviously I try to have other pads in there for different things, but you can change keys. It just sets a tone. It just kind of sets the spiritual climate as you're getting ready moving into more of a deeper worship section in your worship set. It's just really cool. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll have more videos coming.